There was a moment, perhaps, you felt it standing at the edge of your own potential, heart pounding, not from fear, but from the electric hum of something greater stirring within you. The world around you spun in frantic circles, notifications blinking like fireflies in the dark, voices shouting contradictory advice, endless streams of curated perfection scrolling past your eyes while your dreams gathered dust in the silence of your hesitation. In that moment, you knew you were not born to scroll. You were not crafted to conform. You were forged in the fire of intention, shaped by the unseen hand of purpose, and placed here not to blend in, but to break through. And yet, something held you back. Not lack of talent, not absence of opportunity, but the relentless erosion of focus, the quiet thief that slips into your mind while you're busy checking your phone, whispering that maybe today isn't the day, maybe tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes for those who wait. It only arrives for those who choose. Focus is not concentration, it is consecration. It is the sacred act of offering your undivided attention to the vision only you can see, the mission only you can fulfill. Napoleon Hill understood this when he wrote that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But he knew, deep in his bones, that belief without focus is a house built on sand. In our age, an age of infinite distraction, where every second is auctioned to the highest bidder, where algorithms are trained to fracture your attention into a million shards focus, has become the rarest form of rebellion. Not rebellion against others, but against the system that profits from your fragmentation. Every time you close a tab, silence a notification, or walk away from the noise to sit alone with your thoughts, you are not just reclaiming time, you are reclaiming your sovereignty. But how does one cultivate relentless focus in a world engineered to shatter it? It begins not with tactics, but with mental architecture. Your mind is not a passive receiver of input, it is a fortress, and you are its architect. Every thought you entertain, every image you consume, every conversation you engage in either reinforces the walls or plants bombs at the foundation. The modern world offers you endless escape hatches, a click away from comparison, a swipe away from discomfort, a scroll away from responsibility. But focus demands you weld those hatches shut. It demands you stand in the furnace of your own discipline and say, no more. No more chasing validation in the hollow eyes of strangers online. No more mistaking busyness for progress. No more allowing your energy to leak into 1,000 shallow channels when it belongs in one deep river, carving its path through stone. This mental architecture requires belief, not blind faith, but the unshakable conviction that you are capable of more than you've allowed yourself to be. Belief is the bedrock upon which focus is built. Without it, every distraction becomes a valid excuse. With it, every obstacle becomes fuel. Hill interviewed over 500 of the most successful people of his era, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, and not one of them claimed innate genius. What they shared was an ironclad belief in the inevitability of their success. They didn't hope it would happen. They knew it would. And that knowing, quiet, steady, immovable, allowed them to ignore the chaos around them. You must do the same, not by repeating affirmations into a mirror, but by aligning your actions so precisely with your vision that doubt has no room to breathe. When your daily choices echo your deepest truth, belief ceases to be a thought and becomes a fact. And what is that truth? It begins with clarity. Not goals written in vague ink, be successful, be happy, but a vision so sharp it cuts through ambiguity like a blade. Clarity is the compass that makes focus possible. Without it, you're merely reacting, tossed by winds of trend, opinion, and urgency. But with it, you move with precision, even in storm. Ask yourself, if no one were watching, if no reward were promised, what would you still choose to build? What problem would you solve simply because it matters to you? That answer is your North Star. Write it, speak it, carve it into the walls of your mind until it becomes your reflex. Because in the moments when distraction knocks softly at first, then insistently you won't have time to reason. You'll need a vision so vivid, so alive within you, that saying no to noise feels as natural as breathing. Clarity leads to purpose, not the grand cosmic destiny you see in movies, but the quiet daily alignment between who you are and what you do. Purpose is focus with a heartbeat. It's why you rise before the sun, why you push through the resistance, why you keep going when logic says to quit. Hill called it burning desire, not a whim, not a wish, but a fire in the chest that refuses to be extinguished. In a world that sells you shortcuts and hacks, purpose is your anchor. It reminds you that success isn't about accumulating more, it's about becoming more disciplined, more courageous, more true. Every act of focus, then, becomes an act of devotion to your future self, to your legacy, to the truth that you were meant to leave this world different than you found it. Discipline is the muscle that carries this devotion into reality. It is not punishment. It is not rigidity. It is the daily choice to honor your word to yourself. While others sleepwalk through their days, numbed by comfort and convenience, you rise. While others fragment their energy across 10 half-hearted pursuits, you pour everything into one. Discipline is the bridge between the vision in your mind and the life in your hands. And it is forged in repetition, not in heroic bursts, but in the quiet consistency of showing up even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because focus isn't tested when you're inspired. It's tested when you're exhausted, when doubt creeps in, when the world whispers, just this once. And in those moments, discipline doesn't ask how you feel, it asks what you've committed to. Then comes action, not frantic motion, but deliberate, strategic movement. Focus without action is daydreaming. Action without focus is wasted effort. But when the two unite, they become unstoppable. Hill emphasized the master mind, the power of aligned thought and persistent action. In our time, that means cutting through the noise of endless information and asking one question: what is the one thing that, if done today, would move me closer to my vision? Not 5 things, not 10, 1. And then doing it with everything you have. Because relentless focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, but with total presence. It's about choosing depth over breadth, mastery over mediocrity, substance over spectacle. And through it all, gratitude must be your silent companion. Not the performative kind posted online, but the deep, grounding recognition that you already have enough to begin. Gratitude is not passive. It fuels focus by anchoring you in what is, so you can build what will be. It reminds you that every moment of attention you reclaim is a gift. Every hour of disciplined work is a privilege. Every setback is a lesson dressed in disguise. When you walk with gratitude, distraction loses its lure, because you're no longer chasing fulfillment in the next notification, the next purchase, the next like. You're already full, and from that fullness, you create. But the world will test you. It will shift. It will demand that you bend. That's where adaptability enters, not as compromise, but as intelligent evolution. Focus is not rigid fixation. It is unwavering commitment to your why, paired with flexible strategy for your how. Hill studied men who pivoted without panic, who adjusted without abandoning their core. In a world of constant change, the focused mind doesn't resist, it flows. It learns. It refines. It uses disruption as data, not defeat. And when you fall, and you will, you'll need resilience. Not the cliche of bouncing back, but the deeper art of transmuting pain into power. Every great creator, every true builder, has faced moments where focus seemed impossible, where grief, failure, or fatigue threatened to extinguish the flame. But resilience is focus refined by fire. It's the quiet voice that says, "This hurts, but I'm still here, and so is my purpose." Which brings us to learning. Relentless focus demands relentless growth. You cannot outperform your understanding. Hill insisted that knowledge applied is power and focus is the lens that concentrates that power. Read not to escape, but to equip. Observe not to judge, but to understand. Reflect not to ruminate, but to refine. Every insight becomes a tool. Every mistake, a map. Now stand. Not physically, though you may, if you wish, but in your spirit, feel the weight of your choices. The silence you've reclaimed, the vision you've sharpened. The world will keep trying to pull you apart, but you have chosen to stay whole, to stay focused, to stay relentless, because you were never meant to be distracted. You were meant to decide. And in that decision, you become dangerous not to others, but to the ordinary. Now go. Build what only you can build. The world is waiting not for your perfection, but for your presence. Give it your focus. Give it your fire. Give it you.